What up, everybody? Welcome back to Jayfabe Wrestling. And this time we're rebooking Survivor Series 1998. Obviously, this tournament, the Deadly Games, was pretty much the whole show. And it was actually a great show, to be honest. I love the plot twist of The Rock, going in, fighting for the people, and then just how he won in some shady ways. First off, Big Boss Man getting pinned in like 3 seconds, and then obviously Big Boss Man throwing the nightstick to The Rock instead of Ken Shamrock, so The Rock can get the win, and then Kane disqualifying the Undertaker. And then obviously at the end, the Montreal Screwjob relived where The Rock screws Mick Foley, Mankind. Mankind was coming as the corporate champion. So, he had an easy match against Duane Gill, and then he fought Austin, and that's where Shane turned heel in another great moment as well. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of plot twists here. I'm thinking of how I should rebook this. I definitely want to keep the tournament, not the whole tournament, though. I want to keep some parts of the tournament, and I also want to keep the Survivor Series tradition alive. There was no Survivor Series tag team matches here, so I also want to do that as well. And yeah, in terms of Steve Austin, I'm going to do something different with him as well. I think, him having his own Survivor Series team might be the way to go rather than him in the tournament. So it kind of gives full shine to the Rock and Mankind story. So yeah, let's get into my card right now. All right, the first match we got for the Women's Championship, Jacqueline defending against Sable. So this match did actually happen on the real card, and it was a decent match. And I think, it was cool to have Sable on the card to finally also get her Women's Championship back, kind of ending the feud here with Jacqueline and Mark Merrow. I believe Mark Merrow left shortly after, so I definitely think Sable was definitely over as well. So for her not to be on the card, she was up there with like some of the men in popularity, so she definitely should be on the card. And this match only got 3 minutes. Maybe I'll give them a little longer, maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And yeah, Sable can get the win. And actually, I would actually have Jacqueline slap Mark Merrow after and kind of end their partnership, just because Mark Merrow is leaving. And then after, Sable can maybe Sable bomb him again on the way out just to get a huge pop. So yeah, Sable versus Jacqueline. Keep everything the same, and Sable regains her championship. All right, next up I got Al Snow, Bob Holly, Scorpio, and Duane Gill versus Kai and Tai. So yeah, basically the Job Squad versus Kai and Tai. And this feud could be simple. Gilbert can want a title match against Taka Michinoku, and Taka and Kai and Tai can attack Duane Gill, and then, the Job Squad can make the save and ask Duane Gill to join the Job Squad. And yeah, basic build here where Kai and Tai calls the Job Squad a bunch of losers and that they suck, and Al Snow can say, if we suck, what does that make you? At least we can still win matches. And they have the match here, and I would actually have the Job Squad get the win. Maybe they do a clean sweep of Kai and Tai. Taka Michinoku could be the last person, and he can try to run away, but they bring him back in, and then Gilbert can get the win on Taka Michinoku. So yeah, I think it's just fun undercard match here, trying to use all the talent on the card. Kai and Tai's, they're great workers, and even the Job Squad, Scorpio, Bob Holly, these guys can go, and they're pretty over, especially with Al Snow on the team. So yeah, I think it'd be a nice solid match. Third match, we got the Legion of Doom teaming up with the Oddities versus the Headbangers and the Brood. So yeah, basic build here where the Headbangers, they start mocking the Legion of Doom. They start trying to have spiked shoulder pads and face paint, and they're saying that we're actually better than the Legion of Doom. It's just the face paint, it's just the shoulder pads, and Legion of Doom can go for a brawl there. The Brood can come out and also attack Legion of Doom and say that we're here for the darkness and we're tired of the Legion of Doom. And Legion of Doom can be looking for a team, and then the Oddities can come out and say, you know what, we want to team up with the Legion of Doom. At first, the Legion of Doom say, you know what, we don't want to team with you guys. And but the Oddities can make the save again, and they can say how they're they're totally against the Brood because the Brood's all about darkness and evil, and we're just about having fun. And the Brood can cut promos on them saying that's what's wrong with America. You see people like the Oddities, and they embrace being odd, but but they look at us as odd. We're the vampires, but look at these clowns. So yeah, it could be some fun build here, and decent match. I would actually have Gangrel be the sole survivor just because we're trying to push the Brood here. He can last pin, maybe Hawk. This is where I have miscommunication as well because Droz was also trying to join the Legion of Doom, so he would accidentally cost them the match. And Gangrel can get the win, gives them momentum going into 1999. And yeah, I think it'll just be a solid match. And all these guys are pretty over, especially Legion of Doom. All right, the next match we got Venis, the Godfather, Faarooq, Steve Blackman, and Bradshaw versus Dustin Rhodes, D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, Dan Severn, and Tiger Ali Singh. So yeah, basically the mid-card Survivor Series tag team match here. Obviously, Venis and Dustin Rhodes, they had their feud where Venis was sleeping with Marlena, so we can kind of continue that, and that's where Goldust he turned into Dustin Rhodes as well. He became like the righteous person, and Venis, obviously the adult film star, is definitely against Goldust's ethics there. And then yeah, I would actually have, since D'Lo and Mark Henry are on the team, I would actually have the Godfather eventually break out of the nation, and they can try to attack the Godfather, but Faarooq says he still has his back. He told the Godfather to leave the nation, so there's that. And then we have Dan Severn and Steve Blackman. These guys are two lethal fighters, and um, Dan Severn says he's the most deadliest guy in the WWF, but Steve Blackman disagrees. And lastly, we have Tiger Ali Singh. He's talking trash about America, and Bradshaw. He's a cowboy. He represents America. So yeah, definitely got a lot of good talent here, and I would actually give the win to Venis. He could be the sole survivor along with probably the Godfather. So yeah, kind of ends their feud there. And yeah, I would actually have Dan Severn look strong as well. He can get counted out, so him and Steve Blackman, they can brawl to the back. So both of them look strong as well. And yeah, I think these guys all deserve to be on the card. And like I said, this is just a great way to get the mid card on here and also end the feud between Goldust and Venis. Again, gets everyone else on the card as well. All right, next up we got the semifinals of the WWF Championship Deadly Games Tournament. So I have Kane versus Mankind. So if you guys remember, the Undertaker and Kane, they got buys into the tournament here. So I would have the same thing where they both get buys into the semifinals, and the tournament happens on Raw. So yeah, I think basically you can have the same thing going on where Mankind kind of gets easier opponents, and he also has the match against Austin where Shane screws him. And then we have The Rock also, kind of getting lucky, defeating Big Boss Man, defeating Ken Shamrock. So you're still building up these things, but not on the same show. And Kane versus Mankind, I think I would actually have Paul Bearer cost Kane the match here. He's kind of in the line with Vince McMahon as well for his plan to get Mankind to the finals. And these guys had good matches previously at Survivor Series, and it would be a cool dynamic with Kane being the face for this match and Mankind being the heel. Yeah, it's basically kind of similar ending to Undertaker and Kane in their tournament match. Paul Bearer screws Kane, and yeah, Mankind does advance. All right, next match is the next semifinals match. We got The Undertaker versus The Rock. So yeah, same thing going into this feud. Obviously, The Undertaker turned heel. He aligned himself with the evil Paul Bearer. And yeah, they could have a similar match here. And it actually looks like The Undertaker is about to get the win. And that's when Kane would come out and chokeslam The Rock. Again, to give The Rock the win by disqualification. Again, this is all, obviously what happened as well on the real show. And just, yeah, it makes The Rock look like he's not able to win. So it's kind of like, is The Rock really that great? And he kind of got lucky because, Kane attacked him. And obviously, these were Vince McMahon's orders because Kane was kind of in the corporation as well. So yeah, obviously this is just storytelling to build to the next match. But again, on the real show, this was actually great storytelling, and so you got to keep some of that element the same for sure. All right, next match. We got Team Austin, Steve Austin, X Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and China versus Team Corporation, Big Boss Man, Ken Shamrock, Owen Hart, Jeff Jarrett, and Steven Regal. So yeah, you guys are probably thinking, where's Steve Austin in all of this? So as I said before, Shane McMahon would screw Steve Austin in the semifinals of the tournament. And, Vince McMahon says, you know what, since you lost the tournament, you're still fired. And Steve Austin says, you know what, how about a Survivor Series, me against you? And Vince says, I have a different idea. How about the corporation against Team Austin? And no one wants to team with you, Austin. You're a degenerate. And that's when DX can come out and say, you know what, we're anti-corporation, and they're there to fight for Steve Austin. And so yeah, that's how you kind of get the feud here. You have Triple H could be in the match actually, but he can get attacked, so that's why they have China be the replacement. In real life, I believe Triple H was injured, so that makes sense. So yeah, I think this would be a cool way. Again, to have Austin not really involved in the tournament. I mean, he was on Raw, but like on the pay per view, kind of just give the shine to Mankind and The Rock, and but also a cool storyline for Steve Austin to get his job back because Vince did fire him. So and. And although Shane rehired him, you could say Vince said, you know what, since you lost the tournament, you're fired again. And yeah, I think this would be a great match here. Got a lot of talent here. And I would actually have Steve Austin be the sole survivor. Obviously, getting his job back, he can last eliminate uh, Big Boss Man and Ken Shamrock, so he'll be down 1-2. Ken Shamrock can have him in the ankle lock. Austin gets out, hits him with a stunner, and then Big Boss Man could try to hit Steve with the nightstick. Austin can duck, stunner, 1-2-3. Austin is back in the WWF. So yeah, I think this is a really really good match. I think Stone Cold deserved another, to lead another Survivor Series team, and yeah, just progresses the storyline of Austin versus Vince McMahon. All right, in the main event, we got the WWF Championship Deadly Game Finals. We got The Rock versus Mankind. And yeah, keep everything the same here. Um, Obviously, The Rock was representing the people. Mankind was representing the corporation. He wanted to be the corporate champion. So he was doing everything to impress Vince McMahon, whether it was giving him Mr. Socko in the hospital or changing to suits. And even earlier in the year, becoming Dude Love. So this was just great storytelling of, kind of feeling sympathetic for Mick Foley or Mankind, just because, he was trying to prove himself. And we all knew that Vince McMahon did not like him. You could tell by his mannerisms. He was always annoyed by Mankind. So yeah, WWF put a great, double turn here, I guess, of, once The Rock left the nation, he started getting over and people were cheering for him. And, we just did that quick switch and bait. And now The Rock is the corporate champion, bringing back the Montreal Screwjob finish as well, which was a nice touch. And yeah, I mean, this was just great storytelling. Survivor Series 1998 with The Rock. Again, everything that led up to this as well. Can't forget. So yeah, keep everything the same. And The Rock is now the new corporate WWF champion. All right, guys, that's my card. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, I just think I made a better card here because on the original Survivor Series card, I believe there was like 15 matches, which is way too much. And yeah, just condensing the tournament. Obviously, you want to keep the storytelling elements of the tournament, which I did keep on this show, with The Rock still becoming the corporate champion. But I think I did a few things here. First, I kept the tradition of Survivor Series alive, having a lot of these mid-carders who were not even on the card get on the card as well. That was a thing as well with the Attitude Era. A lot of these mid-carders didn't get time to shine on the pay-per-view because, there's such a stacked main event scene that they didn't get to be on the card. So yeah, I think I had, three solid matches. We got the Job Squad, Al Snow, he was pretty over. Legion of Doom is always over. Um, Val Venus, just a new coming act, and then obviously, the Brood getting the win here. Kai and Tai, they're still pretty good workers, entertaining. And even on the heel side, Dustin Rhodes, D'Lo, Mark Henry, like there's a lot of great talent here to get on the card. So I think that was cool. And then I think the Team Austin, I think that makes sense because you know, even in the why would Vince even let Austin in the tournament too? Like that's one thing to think about. Obviously, he knew he was gonna get screwed, but yeah, if you can do that on Raw and have a bigger blow off to Austin getting his job back, I think would be cool. Him forming with DX makes sense because DX became anti-establishment. They started also feuding with the corporation, and eventually they helped Mankind with the WWF Championship. So that's cool to kind of start those things here. And yeah, the heel team is really good as well. Bossman, Shamrock, Owen Hart, Jeff Jarrett, Steven Regal. There's a lot of great workers, and that they would have been better off, in a Survivor Series tag team match than getting shoved in this tournament. So, so yeah, guys, that is my card. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll run down the card for you guys right now. All right, the first match for the Women's Championship: Jacqueline defending against Sable. Second match, Team Job Squad. Captain Al Snow teaming with Bob Holly, Scorpio, and Duane Gill versus Team Kaientai. Captain Taka Michinoku teaming with Men's Tio, Dick Togo, and Shofunaki. Next match, we got Legion of Doom and the Oddities versus the Headbangers and the Brood. Next match, we got Captain Val Venus teaming with the Godfather, Faarooq, Steve Blackman, and Bradshaw versus Captain Dustin Rhodes, teaming with D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, Dan Severn, and Tiger Ali Singh. And then the WWE Championship semifinals in the Deadly Games tournament, we got Kane versus Mankind. And the other semifinals for the WWF Championship, we got The Rock versus The Undertaker. And then we got Team Austin, Captain Steve Austin, X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and China on his team versus Team Corporation, Captain Big Boss Man teaming with Ken Shamrock, Owen Hart, Jeff Jarrett, and Steven Regal. And in the main event, the WWF Championship, the Deadly Game Finals, we got The Rock versus Mankind. So yeah, guys, that is my card. Once again, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate the support. Catch you on the next one. Peace.